I thought I had found the perfect music for my indie game. Instead, I got hit with copyright notices and ultimately an anti-money laundering investigation. This is a story of how my indie game soundtrack turned into a full-blown nightmare, only to be rescued by a talented composer living in a war zone. Being a solo indie dev means doing a lot of things on your own. Code, art, animation, even sound effects. But music is not something I'm prepared to do. So I did the only sensible thing I could think of, and that is to find a composer. So I spent hours and days scouring the internet from the ones I heard back from. Some were booked out and others were way out of my price range. And I started to get frustrated with the time I had spent in this search. So I turned to plan B. I started looking for a pre-made music library. And after days of searching, I found it. A large library of folk, metal, style music, perfect fit for Blood and Mead. The only catch was that the music was royalty free. That means other people could also buy and use this music. But it didn't bother me because I figured I'd edit it, I'd mix it up, I'd chop it up and make the music unrecognizable. And for the price, I really felt like I'd struck gold. So I went all in. I bought and licensed a bunch of music tracks and got to work editing them, splicing them with different tracks and lining them up with my level music, my boss music, and I even chopped up music for a new trailer. I spent over 100 hours doing this. It felt like I'd cleared one of the biggest hurdles in the project. And then came the email. The composer noticed some people had started uploading his music library to YouTube and trying to pass it off as their own. So to combat this, he turned on auto copyright detection for his complete library, meaning any video on YouTube using his music instantly demonetized. Boom. And just like that, all the music I had been putting together, all the editing work, the trailer music, the levels, the boss, everything became instantly useless. And you might ask, why was it such a deal breaker? Why can't I still use it? Well, these days, a game's success kind of relies on content creators on YouTube and streamers making videos of your game, whether it's a playthrough or a reaction, or just one of these Clemmy style compilation videos where they kind of post the trailers of 10 upcoming new indie games. That exposure is very important for indie games. Now imagine somebody takes the time to make a video about your game, and then that video gets copyright flagged. That video will get demonetized and they're going to get spooked by the copyright flag. And there's no way they're going to touch your game again. It's just not worth the hassle. They're going to actively avoid making content about your game. And to give you an example of how important some of these clips of your game can be, Asmongold made a video on stream on Twitch covering the development of my game. And that then got clipped up and uploaded to YouTube. And it had hundreds of thousands of views.
I see. I fucking love it, man.
And in the matter of like 2 days, I got about 4,000 wish lists from that clip. And thankfully, that problematic music was turned off. I would have missed out on all those wish lists and all that exposure. And I wouldn't even have known about it. So anyways, I contacted the composer and I said, hey, I'm kind of screwed here. And he was very sympathetic to the situation because not only has it impacted a lot of game developers using his music, but also it's impacted him. But he did mention that I could whitelist certain music tracks for YouTube by including his composer name and the track name in the description. And that sounds all good and well, but the idea of preemptively contacting every streamer and YouTuber who might make a video about your game and letting them know if they do, then they need to include this and that in their description, it's just completely insane. It's just not tenable to do that. And even worse, my Steam trailer is using that compromised music. And people often download and re-upload Steam trailers into these compilation videos. I had unknowingly poisoned my own marketing material. That trailer music is still up on my Steam page right now, so if you want to have a listen before it's gone, go to the Steam page and check it out. I'll drop a link down below, and while you're there, feel free to drop a wishlist. So if you are a dev watching this video, keep in mind that royalty-free music, even if you pay for it, is not future-proofed. So if you're serious about your game, bite the bullet and plan and budget for some custom music. So with my music plans in ruins, money and time wasted, I was back to plan A. Find a composer. Finding music is not so easy. You got to find someone who is available, someone who is within your price range, and importantly, someone who matches your style, because every composer has their own style strength. For Blood and Meat, I have a very specific sound in mind. Norse meets fantasy with some folk flair, guitar riffs. So I got to work scouring forums, music platforms, SoundCloud, obscure music playlists. And eventually I came across this incredible track, which was a perfect style fit. It was exactly what I was looking for. But there was no composer name, no contact information, just an alias. And I managed to track down someone using this alias, only to find out they had nothing to do with music. A dead end. After more digging, I eventually stumbled across this alias again, this time on some ancient Russian forum that barely worked. It took like 2 minutes to load, all the images were broken, but there was that alias, and this time it came with an email. So I took my shot and I sent them a message. A few days passed, and then came the reply I was waiting for. I had found them. But this is where the story takes an interesting turn. So this elusive composer and I got to talking. He liked the vibe of the project, so I suggested we make one track just to get familiar with each other. We continued chatting back and forth, and I eventually asked him where he was from, to which he responded that he was from Ukraine, near the war zone. And suddenly things took a different tone. He then went on to tell me a part of his incredible story, how he is a professional composer, had all this promising work lined up, shows, and then the pandemic hit and everything was cancelled. And just when things were easing up, the world was reopening, Russia invaded his home country, and everything was plunged into darkness and chaos. Unexpectedly, his focus then became on survival. So despite all this, he still was prepared to take on this project and make some music for my game. It's an incredible work ethic. But I understood it as well, because in my own dark times in my own life, creative expression and work helped, because it keeps your mind focused on other things than your problems. And there's just so much more to his story, but it's not my story to tell. So after a bit of back and forth, I got my first track delivery. And I've got to say, I was blown away. It hit all the right notes. So to say thank you and to share my excitement with him, I made him a private video reacting to the track, walking through my favorite moments. Yeah! Yeah! Oh, that's it. I could not ask for a better track. This is absolutely perfect. And he laughed about this and was very appreciative. And he said it really cheered him up and gave him motivation. He's since made several other tracks for me. New title screen music, battle music, boss music. I'm going to have to give you a little sample of this stuff because it's freaking incredible. It's really brought the game to life. God damn! Man, it like gives me the tingles, I swear. And it goes without saying that once our work is complete, he'll be fully credited in the game. And I may even try to bring him on this channel, as I've offered him a chance to share more of his story with you guys, because it's truly one worth telling. So let's see what happens. And while this music was incredible, there were some troubles still waiting for us. When it came time to pay for the work, we had a problem. His PayPal account got hacked and blocked. And all the other third-party platforms we looked at either had blocks on his region of the world or had some kind of other gotcha that made it difficult to use. So I eventually said, why don't I just do a direct transfer from my bank? I mean, why are we going through all these third-party runarounds? Why don't I just pay you from my bank account to your bank account? What could possibly go wrong? Turns out a lot. Days went by, then a week. No payment went through, so I logged into my bank account to find the transaction had been put on hold with a notice that it's under investigation by anti-money laundering and anti-terrorism authorities. What? Are you kidding me? So next thing, I'm getting contacted by some government department asking me all these questions. Who is this person? Why are you sending the money? What affiliation, if any, do I have with Russian forces? This is what I'm dealing with. I had to explain everything, and then I had to fill out all this paperwork, and eventually, after even more delays, the payment finally went through. It was a good day. After all of this, after all the time wasted on the initial tracks, after all the time spent hunting down elusive composers and then dealing with all this investigation fraud stuff, it's all been worth it, because now Blood and Meat is on the way to having a fully custom soundtrack with a bit of a personal and interesting story behind it. And hey, if you like game dev stories like this, consider subscribing to the channel, because I have plenty more indie dev tales of chaos to share. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.